All righty. Hello, hello, hello. So great to see everyone. It is your girl, Tech Ty, and joining me today is my lovely learner. Her name is Cindy Funk. Hello, Cindy.
Hello, Tech Pie.
Great to see you. I just want to, before we start, just say hello once again to everyone that is joining us here on this LinkedIn Live, and just say that I'm really excited because this is the beginning of a new series called the Learner Series, which is a complement to the Founder Series. So we're talking to learners or participants from job training programs or tech education programs, tech boot camps. And today's learner is from RecruitRise. So everyone should know, if you don't know, we had the lovely founder, Nora Hamada of RecruitRise or RecruitRise.io. We had her featured a couple of weeks ago, so it only makes sense to speak with a learner from RecruitRise's program to get a great perspective about someone who's gone through the program and what they think. So remember, I haven't even spoken to Cindy about her experience. I asked her would she consider just talking to me, and she's been gracious enough to put aside time to speak with me and be candid about her experience. So once again, none of this is paid. None of this is like scripted. Like, hey, Cindy, say this. None of it. Not at all. This is candid, and I just really want to provide a platform for upskillers and reskillers for after you complete a boot camp, because life doesn't stop when you reskill, when you retrain, when you upskill. It doesn't stop. It actually now starts. So here on Talking Tech with Ty, we're all about transformation, personally and professionally. So I've gabbed enough. Y'all know your girl could talk. So please welcome Cindy Funk. And please, Cindy, tell us a bit about yourself. Floor is
Yeah,
yours.
first, yeah, thank you for having me. I think this is awesome, this community that you've built, and I'm excited to join it and be a part of it. And hopefully, what I have to say can be helpful to some of you out there. And yeah, but yeah, I'm Cindy Funk. I'm from Los Angeles, California, and yeah, I'm a recent graduate of the RecruitRise program, and I just started my new job as a technical sourcer at Neuro a few months ago, back in um, late October of last year.
Great.
Mhm.
So you heard it first. Cindy Funk, a learner and graduate of Recruit Rise's program, currently in a new role as a technical sourcer at Neuro. And just as a reminder, Recruit Rise is the boot camp or tech education program that trains people to become a TA or talent acquisition professional. And I know everyone is seeing all these jobs, the abundance of recruiter and recruiting jobs, whether technical sourcer, recruiting assistant, recruiting coordinator, all over the place. And I got a real good education on the types of roles and the hierarchy of roles, as well as the career development from talent acquisition. And seeing it from the outside in, I never expected that it'd be so vast. So that's why it's so important to get a firsthand account from learners like Cindy, as well as new entrants into this blossoming, booming talent acquisition. Um, Goodness, why am I forgetting my words? Talent acquisition career path. So we have a Los Angelino, what am I talking about? Los Angelina. Come on, here with us. So, what made you want to even change career paths, or what were you doing prior to now working as a technical sourcer at Neuro? Where were you?
Yeah, before Neuro, I was at Hyundai Motor America.
Hmm.
I was in the human resources team there. Um, Blanking on my title, but it was essentially I was like very broad role.
Hmm.
It was That's it. I was a senior associate human resources, so it was very broad, almost like a generalist position within the HR team. I was doing like a lot of data work, um, almost like an assistant. I was helping their director of HR, and just kind of also project management with any cross-functional projects that, um, across the team, I would jump in and help. So it was, yeah, very broad role within Hyundai. It's HR
Okay.
team.
So an HR generalist. So you had the insights on, I'm assuming, on hiring and, job development and things of that nature at Hyundai Motor America. And I see that you were actually there for like almost 5.5 years. So being there almost 5.5 years, why change career paths? Or to me, from being an HR generalist into recruiting doesn't seem like a huge career path. It seems like almost under the same umbrella if you're looking at it overarching, with people management, as people management in tech has kind of branched out to include HR professionals, talent acquisition professionals, but you did change roles. So why?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the position I was in at Hyundai, it was kind of like lead into HR. And it did give me exposure to all the different, umbrellas within HR, but the benefits team, the recruiting team, the
Absolutely.
HR business partners, and I kind of got to see behind the scenes
Hmm.
from each of the different areas within HR. So I did get exposure to recruiting, and I knew I've always liked talking to people. I loved, I get pulled into some projects, yeah, for not exactly for the recruiting team, but for my director, if he needed help with putting like scorecards together for, executive searches they were doing, I would help out with that. So I knew like when I was approached, by Nora about potentially, doing,
Huh.
um, a recruiting position, I was definitely interested. I was already at a spot at Hyundai where there wasn't really a trajectory for me. Like I didn't know um, when or where my next, I wanted
Career
to,
move. Yeah.
yeah. And I felt like I had been in HR for 2 years. I was ready to kind of make the next move.
Hmm.
But there was nowhere for like foreseeable future for me in like any of the areas within HR. Um, so I felt like I kind of took matters into my own hands and, jumped
Absolutely.
on this program. I saw an opportunity. Um, and yeah, it benefited me. So I
And
guess it
here
worked.
Here you are, that is a really great story. And I was going to ask even how you even connected with Nora and you were going there. But before you go there, had you ever thought about moving into the tech field? Because a lot of people have considered moving into tech as it has grown vastly, and more people are understanding that tech is so much grander, so much wider, so much deeper than just being a software engineer. And that's something I'm always trying to evangelize here with my conversations, that there's so many roles in tech, especially outside of software engineering. So prior to Nora reaching out to you, and I'd love to hear more about that, can you tell me, was tech even working in the tech industry? Was that even on your radar? Is that something you had aspired to?
Yes and no. Like I wasn't familiar with tech in general, really. I think more recently been more exposed to it. My sister, she's a UX UI designer. Um,
Ooh.
so she actually kind of similar. We both had like studied, like she studied sociology and I studied anthropology. So it was a little harder to, I think, find your way if you don't know exactly what you want to do after college. And she ended up, yeah, doing herself a boot camp and made a lot more money doing UX UI. And so I kind of thought about it too, like, yeah, like maybe I should do, and was kind of like maybe thinking about doing like one of those boot camps. But I think, I don't know, I was kind of shy or timid about making that move. Um, Even though my sister had done it and it worked for her, but I think I wanted to kind of stay within HR. So I think this kind of met the bridge, like still HR, but in that tech field, like the tech environment, which is like why I love the idea of going into tech. I think more so like the culture for tech companies was like what attracted me to tech.
Well, I mean, you're like a beautiful, informative onion because here it is. I have a question and you're peeling back all of these layers. So here I'm like, oh, connected with Nora and getting into that. But you have a sister that had a similar path with you in terms of your course of study in college and then moving into doing a boot camp following that. So here you had someone who had done it and you could watch that and who had somewhat inspired you, but you still needed to move at your own pace and do your own thing. And then, even though you were interested in the benefits of the tech landscape, it still needed to provide you with what you needed career wise. And here comes Recruit Rise, where you get the introduction into tech, but also with the what is familiar to you and what interests you with the talent acquisition. This is great. So now, if you wouldn't mind, I want to come back. So how did you and Nora connect?
So yeah, funny enough, Nora and I have known each other since like childhood. She has a younger sister, and we're best friends. So I've always, stayed in touch with Nora throughout the years. Yeah, I've known her since childhood. Um,
Oh,
so
well,
yeah.
that's great. You see, and this is what I expect also. So those of you who have not seen the chat with Nora, please after this go ahead and watch it because it's great. It's great to connect these dots about community. And I always talk about community here because here Cindy and Nora excuse me. Here Cindy mentions that Nora is a part of her community. They've known each other since childhood. So now that they're adults, Nora went ahead and started this program based on seeing a need and creating a solution for it. And she tapped people within her own community for support to start and expand the program. And here we are. And, especially being a founder, anytime you start something, you should always start within your own community, within your family, friends, your peer group. And it's really exciting and inspiring to hear that there was support here. So please do tell us more about the actual program for you. So you wanted to do a boot camp now, inspired by your sister, found a good match because Nora reached out to you about a program that she had founded, Recruit Rise. And so what was the application process like?
Yeah, I think because of our relationship, um, the application process may be different for others. But essentially, I was actually visiting her younger, sister in Portland, and Nora, funny enough, reached out to me about an opportunity um, to do some recruiting for a startup that she's familiar with. That didn't pan out, and we ended up meeting up for coffee, and she was telling me about how she's starting this program, and I was like, that's kind of how it all started. And I was like, yeah, I'd be interested. She kind of gave me the details of the program, like how many hours a week, right? Kind
Mhm.
of the expectations for me. And yeah, I told her I was interested. And that's how it all started. And so I guess that was my application. But
Well,
I know it's going to be different for others. But that's kind of how it was, just like a conversation between us on, expectations and details of what I was to expect, moving forward for the program.
well, I don't want to use this term, but you were her guinea pig. Yeah. No, I was
Yeah.
just joking. No, you were the proof of concept to see that this was a viable program, and I'm really happy that this connected because, like, with this, the first people that I reached out to were my friends, were my colleagues. Like, listen, I want to start something. will you talk to me? So I fully expect that. Right now, RecruitRise has a very specific application process. So everyone should know when you go to recruitrise.io, there is a process, and it is a rigorous program. So you're going to get the best out of it, because as it grows, it gets more refined, and it provides better value. So let's just be clear. Cindy was a part of Nora's POC, or proof of concept, to see that this was a viable and valuable program that was filling a need. So, like I said, Nora saw that there was not a hole in the market, but there was a bit of a problem. So let's find a solution to it. So thank you so very much, Cindy, for being so candid. I don't think Nora knows that we were going to go there, but that's what Talking Tech with Ty is about, going there. So can you give us a little bit more information about your process going through the program? So as a part of the PLC, you are the first wave testing things out, going through it. How was it for you?
Yeah, it was good overall. I would probably, I'd work my full during the day, working at Hyundai, and then at, in the afternoons, um, 2 or 3 hours, meeting with Nora, and I kind of get assignments that over the weekend or in between classes that we would cover, then cover in class together. So.
Okay.
Mhm.
So the learnings were plentiful, and it was a good schedule for you to maintain as a full-time worker.
Yeah, I mean, definitely expect like some kind of like homework assignments, right? They do take time, but I think I appreciated it in the the long haul. Like that, those assignments really carry over to what I am doing now in my
Mhm.
job. So I'm glad, you know, and that all happened. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. Can we talk a little bit more about the job search after you completed the program?
Yeah, the job search. This is one of the things I think really helped me, and why I think I wanted to do this program is because I knew I wanted to write a new job, but I just like always put back like the updating my resume and my cover letter and all of that. I think I was just like, I don't know, lagging in that, respect. And this
Well,
really pushed me to get on the forefront. Nora really helped me to update my resume, what companies are looking for, what I should add. She kind of helped me tweak it, right? Get it ready. And then also, we would do a lot of practice interviewing. She would, I'd connect with her on like, what am I passionate about? And like, okay, let's look at companies that align with what I'm passionate about, and interview with them. So I think she really, really helped me in that aspect. I think, yeah, interviewing in general is just like terrifying to me. So I get just like nerve wracking.
not just
But
you.
she really helped me feel confident going into the interviews, applying to places. And then essentially, after you do a few interviews, you kind of pick up on what companies are looking for, and you just kind of feel more confident as you go through the process.
Absolutely. And that's really nice to know that you have the support, not only throughout the program, but after the program concludes for the job search. And that's something that I am always asking learners to consider, the type of support you're going to get following your program, because not everyone gets a job right away, you know? And it can take a considerable amount of time. It also may not be the best fit from the first job you get. You might change jobs. The role that you have may not be the best role for you when you change, and about retention and all of this. So it's great to know that you got the support that you needed. And just as a reminder, finding a job is a job. So I
Mhm.
definitely understand
Yeah.
the time that it takes to set aside, even when you're working full time, to say, okay, I want a new job, I want a new career path, which means I have to dedicate this time to updating a resume. I have to dedicate this time to also practicing my interview skills. And practicing interview skills means that you have to do research, you have to set aside that time. There's so much involved in it because here you are working full time, completing a program, then you have to apply for jobs,
Mhm.
and then you have to do the research, prepare, find time to interview, prepare for interviews, follow up assignments, all those things. I'm happy that you had the support system from Nora and RecruitRise to adequately prepare, adequately apply for, and be well equipped to do well and be successful in your interview process. So, can we talk a little bit more about the process that led to you being at Neuro? You mentioned that Nora was really great at speaking with you and kind of pulling out of you the types of roles that you were passionate about. So, since you did have exposure to talent acquisition, being a human resources professional, a generalist professional for so long, what type of companies were you looking at? Did your passions lie now that you were interested in being in tech and it's so vast?
Yeah, and I'm passionate about just sustainability. Like, to me, that's
Mm.
important. I want a company that is doing good in the world. Is all products are sustainable, like long term. That's important to
Mhm.
me. And yeah, I expressed that to Nora. I actually, just did research, looked at companies that kind of fit in this, and Nora was one of them. And Nora has been in, the industry for like 11 years, and she's made so
Yeah.
many connections already. And so when I mentioned, Neuro to her, I think she's like, oh, cool. I think I know someone who works there, right?
Mhm.
So she just has like, all these different connections within the industry. And if she didn't know someone at a company I was interested at, like, she would reach out to them, explain her concept, what she was working on, and they would be open to interviewing me. So it that's kind of how it panned out.
Absolutely, and that's what we wanna hear, and that is what is the genesis of most retraining or, upskilling, reskilling, tech education boot camp programs, That's the genesis, making those connections, saying that, "This is what we're trying to do. Would you partner with us? Would you review and interview our learners? Because we're onto something. This is what we're doing." So, we talked about the job search. Now, you have been in your role for approximately 3 months. How are you doing? How's it feeling, Miss Technical Sourcer? So, like, tell us first, what is a technical sourcer? And also tell us, like, what it is you do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so a technical sourcer, I still would say, is in the recruiting realm.
Mhm.
Um, so how it works is the technical sourcer is really focused on, reaching out to passive candidates in the industry and, trying to bring people into the pipeline for the company. And then I will have I'll reach out to people, right, who are qualified for the position. And then if they are interested and they reach out, I'll have that first phone call with them. So I'm like their first, you know, in into neuro, right? And then if they are, a good fit from there, I will pass them over to our recruiter who I'm partnered with, and then they kind of take it over from there. So I am just at the forefront. I'm at the very beginning of the whole process for candidates, if that
Okay.
makes sense. And that's so I'm literally sourcing people, and my day to day is on the phone, having that first phone screen with the candidate, or I am, looking for people out in the wild, right? To for neuro. So that
Okay.
is pretty much it. Yeah.
And where's out in the wild? Is out in the wild on LinkedIn is out in the wild from, are you creating the job postings that are on LinkedIn, maybe on Indeed, maybe in other job boards? Like, what does that mean? Because I know that there were definitely people interested in the conversation with Nora that wanted a little bit more information about like what is recruiting and like what does a technical sourcer do on a day-to-day basis, which is why we now have the learner series. So what is out in the wild?
Out in the wild is mainly LinkedIn. I will say that. But yeah, you can definitely, and this is like covered in the course actually, like creative sourcing strategies,
Hmm.
because LinkedIn, especially with software engineers, it's so competitive. They're getting, you know, reached out all the time. So there's like strategies on different writing techniques when you're reaching out to people. But also, the market can be saturated in LinkedIn, so looking at other places, it could be in social media. A lot of software engineers have like GitHub profiles.
Hmm.
So other websites, and you just kind of step back and think, okay, where would these people live in, the internet, right? What communities are they at, someone would score, like if they're trying to find, people who finished a boot camp for recruiting when they found your community, right? That would be like a sourcer. If a sourcer was trying, that's what they kind of have to think about. Like where can we find, where do these people, what communities are they a part of? And how can we tap into those communities? Right. So that's kind of the sourcing. It's a little bit of, you get to play detective. So
Ooh,
that's what I like. It's like, yeah, you get to, kind of reverse engineer and think, put yourself in that person's perspective and think, where would they be, right, in the internet, and even out in the real world. Even like you can go to conferences of like,
mm,
whatever is, the profile that you're trying to fit for, whatever position, where would they be, so that's also like the creative side of sourcing. So
got you. Now, I wonder about in terms of also in the day to day, are you writing your own messaging? Is this something like I think about transferable skills as an HR generalist professional? I'm assuming that you have to have great communication skills, you know? Here you are talking to me. Thank you again. You have to have communication skills that include being verbally adept, you know? Um, um, Also your written skills have to be adept because when you're reaching out to people. So, like, are you writing your own messaging? What is a part of your tech stack? Because of my love for LinkedIn, everybody knows I love you, LinkedIn. That I know that LinkedIn has, different tools. So there's Sales Navigator for sales professionals. That's a back end program. But I know that LinkedIn also has a talent acquisition tool that is for recruiters to use to synthesize and categorize candidates that they're looking for. So, what does your tech stack look like? Do you use a LinkedIn tool? Do you also use like a task management tool? Like, I love Notion, I love Trello. Like, what does that look like to really give us a robust day to day of what someone needs to be adept at using or think about, especially as a career changer or a career starter?
yes, that's a great question. And honestly, every company is going to vary.
Hmm.
So at Neuro, we use for our ATS, like our applicant tracking system,
Hmm.
we use Greenhouse
Yeah,
for
Greenhouse is great.
candidates. So that I also got to learn in the program, which was
Hmm.
very useful, right? And then we also use this other program called Top Funnel, which actually helps us with our reach outs and our messaging. So I do personally like write out
Hmm.
my messages, but what's cool about Top Funnel is it's called a campaign, right? So and it's like an AI tool, right? It'll so
Artificial intelligence, for those that need a little clarification, an artificial intelligence tool. Sorry
yeah.
about that, Cindy. Continue.
So let me just kind of walk you through how it works. If I'm on someone's LinkedIn profile and I see like, okay, they have the skills required for this job, I want to reach out to them. There's like an extension for Top Funnel, and
Hmm.
you click on that, it'll drop down. It'll tell you if anyone else in your company has reached out to them already or not. So that's nice, right? So it tells you that, and if they had, like, how long ago the person in your company had reached out, to kind of give, if they had reached out, if there's far, time in between, you could reach out again. Um, and then what it does is say, okay, it checks out. No one's reached out to them. I want to reach out. You would just literally click send, and it'll send the message you created out to them, and it'll populate their name for them, like the company that they're at, and depending on, and then that's the start of the campaign, right? Once from there, right, Top Funnel kind of handles the reach out part for you. Um, and say if the candidate replies positive to that email,
Mhm.
um, the AI tool, right, will catch on that and respond with like, okay, great, let's set up a phone call for us to chat, right? Or if they respond negatively, then it'll pre-populate the message that I created saying like, okay, like, thanks for getting back to me. I understand now's not a good time. Please feel free to circle back with me. Kind of like that, like if it's a negative response. And then if I don't get any follow up, right, if they don't answer my initial email that I sent, I can control on Top Funnel how many days in between I want Top Funnel to send out like my next message to them. And
Hmm.
so that is like your whole campaign. So you have the option to use Top Funnel, but our company doesn't make us use it, right? It just really depends on what role you're trying to find, how competitive it is. Sometimes I have roles that are very niche, and I need to take the time to write personal emails because these candidates are just few and far in between. So I really need to, make that note to them special.
And
Um,
resonate. Yeah.
yeah, so it really, it's going to depend on the position when you do your reach outs and your strategy for how you reach out to people.
Okay. Well, you are now 3 months into a new career, into a new job, into a new industry. And I am, and everyone watching is very proud and excited to see you grow and watch you grow. So, you don't have to give us everything, but what do you see as your possible next steps? Like, do you see yourself being and continuing to be in this field as a talent acquisition professional, possibly moving up or diagonally or, laterally, horizontally within this field? You don't have to give us everything because I know you're just at the start of a career change, but we're excited for you and we're sending out great vibes for you. And it's the start of a new year. So we want to send you that energy as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I think right now my goal is to really just master sourcing and become really good at it. The natural like next step is moving into full recruiter.
Mhm.
Um, but it's interesting because sourcers and recruiters kind of get paid the same. So I'm trying to figure out, do I want to, and I think this will come as I'm more experienced, do I want to stay just sourcing, or do I want to try and become, a recruiter? So I see. The recruiter is kind of responsible for the whole negotiation part, locking in. I'm just like that first person. So it's just right now, I really am enjoying sourcing, and I, I think that's my goal, is just really, really good at sourcing, and then see how I feel. I potentially could go to, there's like sourcing leads.
Okay.
Um, so maybe that direction, maybe recruiting. But for now, yeah, just focusing on, yeah, being really good at sourcing.
Well, we're gonna send that energy out to you. You heard Cindy first, being really good at sourcing. So what I didn't ask you was like, what is the size of your team? So you mentioned that one possible place to go, from being a technical sources to being a technical sourcer lead. So like, what is the size of your team? Are you interested in the management aspect? Because I'm assuming a lead would now provide more support to, other aspects of the team or other technical sources that may be a little bit more junior or or you just taking that lead role that may possibly be management? So you mentioned it. Can you talk to us about it?
Yeah, I think I've always kind of liked the idea of being like in going into management. It's still
Mhm.
a very, I haven't had any experience in management at all, but down the line, right, that would be a, an opportunity. Our team is huge and it's
Ooh,
growing. Neuro is growing, um, and I think there's just like when I started, maybe like a handful of people, like 5 people, and now I can't even. Our Zoom screen is just like covered with people now, like I can't even count. And I think we have about one, two, three, four different. I know there's 2 sourcing leads, and that 4 like different. No, five or 6 different like teams within our recruiting team.
understood.
It's we're huge, and this especially compared to when I was at Hyundai, the recruiting team was like 5 people and almost about the same amount of like company size. So it's crazy to see the difference. I don't know why that is, but um, I guess maybe neuro is growing faster. We need more people. So
Perspective, definitely. And just to remind the people, they always want you can't get experience until you get experience. So you say you have no management experience, but until you get experience, and we're excited for you to get that management experience. You don't know what you don't know until you get there, and every day is an opportunity to get where you need to go. And from what I'm hearing from you right now, we look forward to seeing your growth as a technical source lead if in the near future that's something that you still want to do. Now, to bring it back to Recruit Rise, and of course, you're on the Learner Series, Talking Tech with me, Ty, would you recommend Recruit Rise to others? And if so, please tell us why.
yeah, I would definitely recommend it, especially if you are. For me, I think what would have been helpful is like you don't know like until you try, like, right.
Mm,
And why not, like, um, you're not gonna know, right, until you try. So I wish I had like started, done something sooner. Even that other boot camp I had thought about, but I was just shy. If I just would have done it, right, I could have figured out that much sooner. Okay, this is or isn't for me, and you know, can move on. But yeah, I would definitely
Everything in due
recommend
time,
it.
though. Sorry,
Huh?
everything in due time, though. So you said that the other boot camp you would have known sooner. No, it was what is for you will always be for you. So I'm really happy that you made a decision that was best for you. And here you are talking with me about your experience. So sorry, I did not mean to interject, but yes, go
No.
ahead.
Yes, yeah, definitely with time too. Everyone's on their own like time. Um, right. So I guess yeah, for me the timing it worked out. And I would recommend it if you're in maybe a similar situation. Um, it it worked out. I was ready for a career change. I felt kind of stuck at my previous employer. Um, and this was within my realm. It was still within HR, something I was interested in doing. And I can't, like, I love the tech culture. I will say that. So, yeah, if you're interested in tech, but not exactly like a engineer or a designer, like this could definitely be for you.
Excellent. I mean, I think we've learned so much from this conversation. As we wrap up, I want to thank you once again, Cindy Funk, who is a learner from Recruit Rise. The program RecruitRise.io was started by Nora Hamada, who was on the Founder Series. Cindy, once again, is now a technical sourcer at Neuro. So she moved from working in kind of an automotive landscape at Hyundai, North America, and working as a human resources generalist into the tech field. I mean, there's nothing you can't do. We just have to find the programs, find the support system, find the communities that will support us and guide us. And I know that this conversation is going to help someone else. If it just helps one other person, that is enough. And that is tremendous. So thank you again for your time. Cindy, thank everyone for joining us today. This has been great. And we look forward to seeing you next time on the Learner Series with Talking Tech with Ty. Bye, y'all.